Hello and welcome back to the Alnwick Castle podcast. I'm Daniel Watkins.
And I'm Deborah Beecroft.
And today's episode is all about one of the major projects taking place at Alnwick Castle in 2024.
The castle's library takes up the first floor of the Prado Tower, which was constructed in the 1850s partly to house the huge collections of books acquired by generations of the Percy family. It's been used frequently since that time, including by the current Duke and Duchess of Northumberland, who have used the library as one of their main family rooms. It's also a favourite room for many of our visitors, and it's probably our favourite room in the castle as well. It has thousands of books in it. How could it not be?
But this year the library looks quite different. Major works are taking place to conserve and restore the room from top to bottom, led by the Duke and Duchess of Northumberland themselves. To find out more, we spoke to two of the people running the library project, Ellin Belton and Andrew Jarman.
We caught up with Ellin and Andrew in the library itself, so you may hear work continuing in the background as they speak.
Here is our conversation with them. Please enjoy.
We are very happy to be joined on this episode of the Alnwick Castle podcast by Ellin Belton and Andrew Jarman. Hello and thank you for speaking to us. How are you both?
I'm very well, thank you.
Hi, also good.
Good. So first of all, could you each tell us a little bit about what you do here at the castle and your involvement in the library project?
So my role is to look after the Duke and Duchess, their family and guests, and the areas of the castle which are used as a private house. And so my involvement in the library project is this is the last stateroom that we'll be doing up for the Duke and Duchess.
So my role within the project is to work with Andrew and other colleagues across the departments. I'm here to basically deliver the project, so to keep it on track. And my specialist area is working within the conservation of the collections and the building itself, so managing the conservators. So yes, it's quite a busy job.
And we speak probably every day, don't we? And we meet every Tuesday at 9 o'clock religiously to go through the progress of the project, if there are any blockers, any decisions that we can make, any decisions that we need to elevate to the Duke and Duchess for their input, just to make sure that we complete which is a technically quite challenging project and in a very short window of opportunity to get it delivered as close as budget as we can and on time. So when the castle reopens in the winter for the family residency and guests, we have the library back, because I would say it's the most popular room and the most used room by the family during the winter months.
And in terms of a project like this, how far ahead do you plan? How long has this been in the works?
I think this project has been in the offing for quite some time. Obviously, everybody's had their challenges over the last few years coming through the pandemic, so that's meant a stop on some projects. So I don't actually know the dates of how long this has been in the planning, but it's come to fruition at quite short notice actually this year, wasn't it?
So the planning of this started, I think, in about 2019, because the carpet design and the silk that's going back on the walls will mirror the anti-library. So design decisions were made then about the look of the room. We were going to do the room during the pandemic, but then obviously the pandemic happened, and it was due to be done last year, but we had Lily Dory was opening, and then we were looking at using the library and the castle for a wedding, which didn't actually happen. So the project was deferred to this year. So probably five years it's been in the offing, and the actual work this year. But things like the carpet and the silk, they all effectively have to be woven a year before they're actually used. So one of the challenges in a building like this is the planning and the design and the concept is a project in itself, and then the execution is another project in consecutive years.
And in terms of the project itself, what are the major elements and what are you doing essentially?
Major elements, shall I take that?
Yeah, go for it, Ellen.
So the refurbishment of the library encompasses quite a few different aspects. So as far as how the room is going to look, there will be subtle changes to the room, such as Andrew's touched on the the hand-woven carpet that's being made specially for the room. We're also having new wall silks. Again, as Andrew already touched on, these decisions take time, and because they're bespoke objects, they are made to order, so they take a lot of planning. We're also redoing the lighting scheme in the room, which will really lift the decorative elements of the room. So a rewire was required for that. There's some conservation improvements. We're going to be doing new window blinds and ultraviolet film so that we can care for the collection better in the future, and we are undertaking a huge conservation clean of the space. It's going to encompass cleaning of the polychromed carved ceiling, cleaning of the woodwork, cleaning and polishing of the floors, metalwork, marble fireplaces, and it rolls on. It's a top to bottom project from a conservation side, so we're really pulling all those elements together to deliver a fantastic looking room.
There's also been a slight change in direction in that the recess area of the library, where the folio cabinets were housed, there was a decision by the family to reimagine that area as a sort of third sitting area of the room. So, as I say, this is the main room that the family use when they're in residence, and is really the family sitting room as opposed to the sort of gentleman's library it was originally designed for. So the redesign of the recess has meant some sort of redesign, the engagement of an interior designer, another carpet being made for that area. So that's a challenge, and the biggest challenge in that area, I think, is the reopening of a fireplace where we have to reinstate the flue. That's a pretty major job, which we have to accomplish within the time.
I think what's really interesting with these kind of projects is I feel my role as a conservator is to kind of care for the buildings almost in a kind of custodianship sense, and it's a real privilege to get to add a layer of history to the castle, because we always talk in the historical context of, you know, this decorative scheme from, you know, a certain time was done by a certain designer and put in by a certain duke, and actually we're living through that, and hopefully we'll be charted in the archives, Andrew.
And I think the Duke and Duchess very much feel they're custodians of the castle, and to leave it in better condition than they took it over, and then that passes down the family. So they make their mark on the castle and preserve it for future generations as an important historic house.
When you say reimagining it, are you looking at it as a new room, or is it still to kind of have that feel of the room as it was when it was first designed?
I think the bones of it are as it was originally designed. I think it's the use and the arrangement of furniture within the room which will be different. And so the folio cabinets which were in the recess area have now been removed. One of them we will repurpose as a bar, with the intention that could always be reversed because it's part of the collection. So it's just the different use of the room to that. Obviously it was a gentleman's library originally with the folio cabinets in the middle of the room and a big, I believe, an octagonal reading table in the recess area. So I think it's just the use of the room in modern days, so sort of TV nights and things like that. So used very much as a sitting would be in homes up and down the country, just on a slightly larger scale and with historic relevance.
I think it's really nice to see a home that's still lived in and that it's reflecting technology and changes in how we learn and how we spend our leisure time. So we might not need 14,000 books because we've got them all on a Kindle or all on, at the click of a button. So it's really nice to have that juxtaposition of something very traditional like a gentleman's library and actually using modern technology as well.
Now, you mentioned the 14,000 books, which are still in the library, but they're all covered. But other than that, the library is just full of scaffolding. So how much had to go before this was all built?
Everything. We estimated it would take 3 weeks to empty the room. We did the last event here on Friday the 2nd of February, and we moved in.
I started on the 5th.
on Monday the 5th of February, and we emptied this within a week. And I think the following week we lifted the carpet. So, one of our key challenges for this project is keeping it on time, because it's a 65-week program which we have to do in 38 weeks. So that requires some planning. That's where Ellin comes in.
I think also what people don't maybe take into account is when you empty a room as big as the library. Where do we put everything? How do we clean everything? Where do we store it? So that in itself is a real complexity. You know, it's a lot of people to move all the objects out of the library. Everything has to be documented, catalogued, photographed, cleaned, put into storage, ready to come back out again. So it's not just pop everything in the spare room while the decorators pop in. It's a really complex challenge.
It wasn't as easy as just bringing the scaffolding in the door, was it?
No.
So again, this is where I like these kind of challenges. My background as a project conservator is to work in construction projects in listed buildings and especially country houses open to the public. So we decided the fastest way and the safest way to get the scaffold in was through the window. So we built an external tower up the side of the library and then brought the scaffolding all in through one window, because otherwise it would have meant carrying 20-foot poles right through the house, and that's not something that I ever like to do. So it's worked really well. We've done it in other rooms in the castle as well, and yeah, we've got some lovely, careful, diligent scaffolders who come and work with us, and they've worked on a number of projects. So yeah, thankful for tame scaffolders.
So in terms of your role in conservation, what are you actually doing in this room?
Okay, that's a really good question. We're going into the main conservation phase of the project now. And so we are taking it in a top to bottom approach, literally starting on the ceiling. So we've got around 400 hours. So we've got a team of conservators working up on the ceiling. They're going to meticulously clean the polychromed carved ceiling. We're then going to start cleaning the woodwork because we've got bookshelves going from floor to ceiling. So again, woodwork top to bottom. We've got 3 marble fireplaces which will all be cleaned through the project. We've got the metal fire fenders and grates. They will all have to be conservation cleaned as well. The balustrade, yep, that's a huge part of the work. And of course our show-stopping chandelier will be even more show-stopping once we have cleaned it. The floor will be getting cleaned and polished, and any minor repairs will be undertaken, ready for the new hand-woven carpet to go in. Of course, all the collection, as I mentioned already, is all off-site and being stored. We've done the documentation and the photography, and we'll be doing the deep clean of all the objects, ready to bring those back later in the year.
And what other challenges are you faced with the library? What are your maybe the most difficult challenges that you think you're going to face?
I think there are lots of very small decisions that we have to make every single day, which seem on the surface perhaps insignificant, but we believe that the devil is in the details. So measuring hearth rugs, measuring how big the recess rug needed to be, where are we going to put the power points, where are we going to put power points with ports to charge telephones, things like this. So you may not notice it in the overall scheme when we bring the library back, but as I say, I think lots of small things done really well will result in an amazing looking project when we finish. Looking at different fabrics for the new recess area, how we tie that in with the existing fabrics that we have in the 2 other sides of the library. So it's a lot of collaboration and small decisions made sort of collectively, and then, as I said before, what do we need to then get the Duke and Duchess involved in? Specifically, the Duchess is very, very keen on the look and the design of the room and the areas. So she is fully briefed and fully across the project, and does visit the library frequently to look at the progress.
I think what's really key to point out here is the team at Alnwick Castle work well together, and with everybody being on site, it's much easier to get people together. If there are decisions we need to make at quite short notice, we can be pragmatic, and working as a team is key for delivering any project.
I mean, that's a good, to Ellen's point, when we decided we need to measure, it seems very simple. We need to measure how big the rug is going to be for the recess area. We were probably 4 of us on our hands and knees with masking tape and tape measures, but probably stuck to the plywood, which protects the floor, probably for about 4 hours. I thought it was going to be 10 minutes, but every decision we make, there's a good thought process that goes behind it. We don't make irrational decisions, because the decisions we make are going to be expensive and long term. We hope the project here, the next people who are going to be doing this are going to be doing it in 30, 35, 40 years time. The decisions we make now will have ramifications and last for a long time. So it's important we get them right.
Once the library is complete, there are some items that haven't been on show that are actually coming back. Is that right, in terms of some medallions?
Oh yes, so there are marble medallions of the 4th Duke and Duchess, which go on top of the bookcases in the recess area, and they are in sort of carved frames. I'm speaking inexpertly here, so Ellin will be able to correct me. And they are being returned and will sit just below the 2 pictures that we have either side of that area, and will be part of the new decorative lighting scheme.
The carved housing for the roundels, the marble roundels, as Andrew said, they're currently with one of our conservators, and he is meticulously recarving any of the lost areas. So they will look fantastic once they're reinstated. And again, it's drawing in those historic parts of the fabric of the building, which over time we change things, we move things around. Again, it's a living home, so it's nice to be able to reintroduce things that have previously been removed and reunite them with the space they were designed for.
And in terms of the number of people involved in this project, there are quite a few in the room as we're speaking. How big is the team who are actually doing the full?
So the team will ebb and flow through the project cycle. We're just going into a phase of probably the most action, actually, certainly from a conservation standpoint. So yesterday, I think I had 7 conservators here. I've got 8, and then we've got the electricians here today. We've had the project team meeting this morning, so that's probably another half dozen. So lots of people are coming in and out throughout the day. And again, that's part of my role as project conservator, project manager, is to keep the plates spinning so that everybody gets in to be able to do the things that they need to without impeding the work of others.
And then there's people that we deal with on a weekly basis, so carpet makers, interior designers, so a lot of people who are off-site who are involved in the project, as well as like the sort of project team, so Claire in archives, Robin from Clarker Works, so lots of team. Susan from housekeeping was here today for the project meeting. So, yeah, lots of people. So it'd be interesting to count how many people that have been involved in it once we complete the project.
And all the visitors, of course, because we have tried to design the project so that the visitors can still access the library. And it's really important for them to see that the complexity of the work that we're delivering in order to keep the castle looking amazing, and also to enrich their visitor experience by adding those layers of history in and by being able to engage about the work we do.
So you've mentioned that the library will be complete by October. What do you think you'll feel like once it's done?
Oh, mixed, I think. One, because we'll go into our most intense period of the year with the family moving back and the sort of winter residency here and guests and so on, the run up to Christmas, New Year. So that's a really busy time for household. Relieved because we'll have got it across the line. We're still on target and on budget. So yeah, that's certainly that's how I feel. But also quite sad in a way, because it's been a fun project to work on. Inevitably, there are always frustrations, but we have a lot of good humoured banter and laughs along the way. And I think one of the nice things about it has been collaboration, working with Ellin, working with Collections and Archives, working with Robin on a very specific project.
I think for me, because my role is to go from project to project. My kind of nomadic sensibilities. I'm used to going through that project cycle. So it is, as Andrew said, it's a mix of feelings. It's nice that we've accomplished something, and to get the project across the line is always good. And then there is a little bit of sadness because something's come to an end. But yeah.
And this would have been your favourite project you've ever worked on.
Andrew, yes.
And the best team.
Well, thank you both very much for joining us on the Alnwick Castle podcast.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We're very grateful to Ellin and to Andrew for sharing some of their experiences of the work that goes on behind the scenes at Alnwick Castle. We might be checking in with them again as the library project continues.
If you'd like to see the library works in action, the room will remain open to visitors whenever possible during the 2024 season. And if you visit again in 2025, you'll be able to see the end result.
If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, we recommend heading back into our podcast archive for a similar subject on episode 29, Caring for Alnwick Castle's Collections.
The Alnwick Castle podcast will be back in 2 weeks with another new episode, but until then, I've been Deborah.
And I've been Daniel.
Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.
Bye.